Hey, welcome back to the Bible Reading Project. We're reading Romans chapter 1 this week, all week long, zero excuse, and we hope it's working.
You're good at that.
Hey, thank you. Pastor Mark, you told us yesterday as we're studying Romans chapter 1 and specifically verse 20, which says, "For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, so they have no excuse for not knowing God." And yesterday you told us we were going to talk about the invisible quality of dinosaurs.
T-Rex. Yeah. When I read this verse in Romans 1, right, that through creation I can see the invisible qualities of God, it really opened up my thinking of, if I could destroy the creation account, if I could downplay it and really make light of it, then it's a win-win for me.
Yep.
Because what the creation tells me is God can be known and seen, not just known but seen. I can clearly see his invisible qualities.
Yeah.
And then it turns in his Holy Spirit, his eternal power, and his divine nature. So days 1 through 7 of creation, my thought was that's so powerful that Romans 1 says people have no excuse, right? So if that be true, then what would the devil love to do than to discredit creation, right? In college, I remember going through a class in science, and they started teaching evolution. Evolution never made me nervous at all. I mean, I don't care what. That's okay. I'm not threatened by it. But what it did to me was make me go to the Bible and go, well, Lord, I want to know if the Bible's true. I mean, if that's what they're saying, that the earth was 6 billion or however many billions of years old, but what I was taught is, no, the earth is young. It's only 6,000 years old. Like, we can go all the way back to Adam, and then there's this whole, oh God, are we as a young earth? Is it an old earth? Was it an earth that exploded and blew up and we kind of evolved into what we are now? Did God create it? Did he not? And then the arguments thereof. And of course, now we're so far removed. That was in the 80s. Now there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube, from where did the dinosaurs go to young earth versus old earth versus the gap theory, and all the theories to try to explain why is the earth old. Why does science say it's old, but we say it's young? And then there's, well, carbon dating's wrong. That's why.
Yeah.
Or the gap theory, well, that whole time between Genesis 1 and 2, that there's this big land of blankness where millions of years could have transpired. So I just dove in head first, like in the 80s. So 30 plus years ago.
Yep.
Like, I just want to know. I don't want to know so I can stand on a college campus and try to tell somebody that believes in evolution they're wrong.
Right.
I want to know, because if I can clearly see God, then I want to know. And that's why I wrote the book, the Genesis of Fatherhood, because I believe in the book of Genesis, especially the days of creation, there's the invisible qualities of God become clear. So hopefully that comes out soon this year. Corona shut it down, so you got hooked for Corona, right? But so I just want to throw a thought. I want to tell it to you. I don't think I've ever told it to you. And then I just want you to throw back, you're dumb.
Okay.
Or I kind of like that, or you might need to study deeper.
Yeah.
I've never seen this video on YouTube.
Okay.
Or heard anybody really talk about it. So I thought I'll just touch on that. So there's the gap theory. We know that.
Yep.
The gap theory goes this way, that in the beginning God made the heaven and earth. Then that was for Lucifer's domain. And Lucifer sinned because Lucifer, Ezekiel 28, Isaiah 14, Jeremiah 4, Lucifer was in the Garden of Eden. He sinned. God judges it. Darkness covers the face of the deep. And there could have been billions of years between Genesis 1 and Genesis 3. That's where the Ice Age was. Maybe that's where T-Rex went. God just annihilated that whole world.
Yeah.
That Isaiah will call it, Jeremiah will call it a fruitful land. Yeah. Right? So there was this fruitful land where we do know that Lucifer ruled and reigned. He had a throne. And so that's the gap theory. You can study it. There's tons of videos on it.
Right.
Then there is the thought of creation, that it's all young, and science basically has screwed us over. We're not billions of years old. There are no Neanderthal people, because the gap theory really answers a lot. It answers where the dinosaurs could have gone when God judged the kingdom of Satan and covered it with water, and then darkness came, the Ice Age. That's where the dinosaurs went. That's where cavemen went. All the Neanderthal people that are the missing link between us humans, right? I'm okay with that. I'm not against that. I aspire to this, that there was a kingdom of Satan long before there was an Adam and an Eve and the 7 days of creation. Here's my thought. I want to throw this to you. You're a Bible school student, so put the cap on, man. And you got a nice one on, by the way.
Thank you.
I like that. So think about this. The problem with explaining creation is always based around time, right?
Right.
Even people that believe the Big Bang will go back to, well, then God started the bang. I mean, that's kind of what we'll land on. Oh, God. Because that's the argument that'll go all the way back. Well, let's go all the way back to nothing.
Right.
But then you have to do science is, well, nothing can come from something. Something can come from nothing. There always has to be the something. And so Christians always say, no, well, that something's God. So that's the argument that carries all the way to the end, right? So I just want to come at it a way of that time has always been the issue with creation. Is it a 7 literal days? There's some people believe that each day is millions of years. Moses just wrote it in a day. And so he said, the day I got the revelation was day 1. The day I got the revelation was day 2. But the revelation that Moses got in a 7 days, was millions of years. But to him, he wrote it the day he saw it. So day 1, I saw let there be light. I don't really like that one very well, but but in a debate it comes across okay. Somebody can fight that fight. I have some problems with it due to the Sabbath day, the actual literal 7-day cycle of Earth, Monday through Sunday, makes me wonder about that. That if the cycle we're on now is a 24/7 cycle, 7 days a week, 365 a day, depending on the calendar you use, then it makes me wonder. I don't really think it could have been millions of years per day. Right. It just doesn't make sense that God would go psych, and then we get on a 24/7 cycle. So ponder this. Here's the thought. Being at time, and we're talking about creation, seeing the invisible qualities of God, and when I know that, I have no excuse. Time is the issue, right? I got to cover millions of years. So I either need to debunk science, which is difficult. I need to merge them both together and try to go, how could they work together? Or I just need to ditch the Bible altogether and say, dumb book, don't believe it. All right. So in my studying of that, the thing that really threw me for a loop was when Adam and Eve sinned, they had Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel. God says, sorry, booting you out, bye. And Cain says something, and then the question is always, where did Cain get his wife? Oh, God, he must have slept with his sister, right? I mean, those kind of things. And God kicked him out, and because Cain was nervous that somebody would kill him. So everybody's like, well, who are those people he's afraid of? Like if Cain and Abel's the only first kids, and Cain kills Abel, then who does Cain marry because there's nobody else? And who is he afraid of will kill him if there's nobody else? So you get into chapters 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you're already confused. It's like, did God make other people we don't know about? So here's the thought. Genesis chapter 2, verse 16, 17, God's talking to Adam and Eve. This is before they sinned. So let's just go ahead and say this for the sake of the argument. God made the heavens and earth. All right. Let's say he did it in 7 days. 7 literal days, which is what I believe. And on day 6, he creates a man and then he creates a woman. All right. So we're 6 days into creation. Now, typically, what we teach or would think mentally, day 7, God rested. Day 8, Adam sinned. And then at 932 years later, in Genesis chapter 5, maybe verse 3, he's dead. Right? So that's kind of the way we think. The fact that I could know he could be 930 years old is really weird. But so listen to what this says. It says this, but God said and commanded them, you can eat of every tree of the garden. This is Genesis 2:16. But of every tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it. For, and here's the thought I want to throw to you today. We'll hash it out more tomorrow. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. When did God tell him he would die? The day he ate of it, right? So that assumes that Adam would not die if he didn't eat. Is that correct? Okay, so there is an assumption that because God made Adam, that Adam would not die until he ate the fruit. All right. Now, when he ate the fruit, how long was it before he died?
A long time.
930 years. Okay. So what if when God made Adam and said, the day you die, you eat. Because in the creation account, there is no day 8.
Mm-hmm.
God stops at day 7, says, it's all really good. This is a day of rest. There's no day 8.
Mm-hmm.
The cycle just repeats.
Right.
There's not a day 8. So God says to him, the day you eat, you will die. Mm-hmm. Well, he does eat, but he doesn't die that day. It takes him 930 years to die off, right?
Yeah, right.
So what if God makes Adam and Eve? I'll give you time to think about it, and we'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
He creates Adam and Eve.
Yep.
He says, now to the day you eat, you die.
Mm-hmm.
What if they don't eat day 8? What if they wait 10,000 years?
Mm-hmm.
Because God's not counting time.
Right.
Because what I saw in that is God won't start counting time until the day they eat.
Mm-hmm.
Because the day you eat, you die. And the only reason I would need to start counting time is to determine death. Because I made you eternal.
Right.
So I have from a God perspective, I have no reason to count time.
Right.
I only will start counting time the day you die, because that will launch the prophetic plan of my kingdom. So I will count time, because time matters now, because you're on a scale to die. Before you eat, I don't need to count time if I'm God.
Yeah.
You're eternal.
Yeah,
There's no need to go, have you been alive 1,000 years or 10 years? The only thing that matters to God is obedience.
Mm-hmm.
My belief, I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Okay.
It's an opinion, but I do believe it strongly. My belief is, and I think it seems practical to me, my belief is God made Adam and Eve. Mm-hmm. He told them not to eat of the fruit.
Right.
He wasn't counting time yet, because time did not matter, because God's eternal in an eternal world. He said, multiply and replenish the earth. I think they start doing that. Mm-hmm. I think they have babies and kids and babies and daughters and sons, and they start migrating and going out to fill the earth, which is obedient, right? Yeah. Multiply,
right?
Replenish the earth. Right. So we assume that their multiplication was Cain and Abel. Mm-hmm. But I believe the reason Cain and Abel make it is because Cain and Abel begins God counting. Mm. So I'm not counting before, so there's no reason for me to write down everybody's name. But the moment you sin, me, God, I'm going to start counting now. Yeah. And you will be dead in 930 years, and I'm going to start counting your children, and I'm going to start counting everything. This is what I believe answers a lot about creation. Mm-hmm. Adam and Eve could have lived 10,000 years, and out of 10,000 years of life, millions of kids,
yeah, right,
and offspring. Yeah. So that Cain could have literally married a sister that was born 500 years before him.
Yeah, right.
And really wouldn't have even looked that old.
Yeah.
Because they were eternal. Yeah. Right? Those that were born could live forever. Mm-hmm. I'll talk more about how could they die if they not sinned. So that's my thought. My thought is, well, they could have lived a long time before they ate the fruit. Mm. We just assume they ate it on day 8.
Yeah.
But I think they could have waited a long time, fulfilled the plan of God before Satan showed up and said, man, who are all these people taking the earth over?
It's good.
Yeah. Deep, but good.
It is deep.
You're welcome. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. You got a lot to think about, because I want to hear what you think about that tomorrow. I hope to see you Thursday. We'll dig it out some more. Remember, as I always say, I hope to inspire you to read the Bible, but more than that, pray this prayer. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. And if anybody comes across my path today that needs you, may I ever be so bold to lead them to you.